Shalom from Israel to all of the Daystar viewers around the world. I'm Moshe Bar Tzvi, the producer and founder of Israel Now News. We at Israel Now News are dedicated to bringing you the full story and the truth about Israel from Israel. It's written in the Holy Bible when David said in Psalm 25:5, "Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all the day long." And God says in Zechariah 8:16, "These are the things that you shall do. Speak out the truth to one another. Judge with truth and judgment to peace in your gates. And always search for the truth, and the truth shall set you free." John 8:31. I hope you enjoyed the program. God bless you from Jerusalem. Shalom, shalom.
Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El Rome.
And I'm Erin Viner.
In our top story, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the U.S. Congress last week. Netanyahu accepted the invitation to speak to American lawmakers at great risk to his personal political career and the Jewish state's relationship with the Obama administration. In a scene reminiscent of the biblical story of Queen Esther going before the king to save Jews from sure destruction by the Persian Empire of old, Netanyahu warned Congress of the dangerous nuclear deal Obama is making with the atomic ayatollahs in modern-day Persia, Iran, whom he calls sponsors of international terrorism. The Prime Minister outlined the dangers of the proposed deal and of Tehran's intention to deceive the West. The Israeli leader said allowing Iran to obtain nuclear weapons would spark a nuclear arms race in the Middle East and would lead to utter chaos in an already troubled region. His speech was well received by U.S. lawmakers and was interrupted with applause more than 40 times. No member of the Obama administration attended the address, and more than 50 Democratic senators and congressmen boycotted the event. Ahead of his historic trip, Netanyahu made an important stop at the holiest site in Judaism, the Western Wall in Jerusalem, to pray. Standing in front of the ancient stones surrounding the Temple Mount, Netanyahu said he felt his message to Congress was a faithful and historic mission.
President Obama has vowed to veto a proposed congressional bill that would provide the House with oversight of any deal negotiated with Tehran. The Iran Nuclear Agreement Review Act would require the White House to submit a copy of the potential agreement to Congress and would prohibit Obama from suspending any sanctions against the Islamic Republic for 60 days after the reaching of a deal. One of the bill's sponsors, Republican Senator Bob Corker of Tennessee, responded to Obama's veto threat by saying that it is disappointing that the president feels he's the only one who speaks for the citizens of this country.
An important member of Obama's presidential campaign is on the ground in Israel working to oust Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, despite claims by the White House that its reason for opposing Netanyahu's congressional speech was because it might influence the outcome of upcoming Israeli elections. Just days before Israeli voters go to the polls, Obama's former national field advisor, Jeremy Byrd, is feverishly trying to remove Netanyahu from power. A report in the New York Times explains that the Obama staffer is not working with any specific Israeli party, but rather leading a grassroots and online campaign to unseat the prime minister. The article went on to say that the involvement of Obama's advisor in upcoming elections is proof that the president is quietly involved in trying to bring about an electoral defeat for Netanyahu.
An Argentinian judge has dismissed the case against President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner for attempting to whitewash Iran's involvement in the 1994 bombing of the Jewish Community Center in Buenos Aires. 85 people were killed in that devastating terrorist attack, and more than 300 were wounded. The accusation of a cover-up and the subsequent murder of state prosecutor Alberto Nisman, who was charged with investigating the case, has rocked the South American nation. Tens of thousands of protesters have flooded the streets of Buenos Aires to protest his suspicious death and the allegations of government corruption. Despite the public outrage, Judge Daniel Rafecas ruled that the evidence submitted by Nisman prior to his death was insufficient to justify the opening of a formal investigation into the Argentinian president.
An Egyptian court has officially ruled that Hamas is a terrorist organization. The Gaza-based radical Islamic group is an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, which was ousted from power in July of 2013. The Brotherhood has since been outlawed in Egypt, and many of its senior members are serving time in prison. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is leading a crackdown on terror groups, including Hamas, who has aided Sinai jihadists in their bloody terror campaign against the Egyptian military and civilians. Al-Sisi has ordered the closure of smuggling tunnels between Gaza and Egypt and has created a buffer zone to prevent the illegal passage of Palestinian extremists into Egypt.
We have reported extensively on the resurgence of anti-Semitism throughout Europe, and now a new study is reflecting the rise of anti-Jewish discrimination on college campuses in the United States. The survey, conducted by the David Horowitz Freedom Center, found that 54% of American Jewish students reported instances of anti-Semitism on their college campuses last year. The list of the 10 academic institutions with the highest number of anti-Jewish acts includes Columbia, George Mason, Chicago's Loyola, Portland State, San Diego U, San Francisco State, Temple, UCLA, and Vassar. According to the report, the activity included innumerable anti-Semitic protests and incidents on university property, often with the support of academic funds, despite the fact that such behavior is explicitly forbidden under the campus codes of conduct.
A few weeks ago, we reported that when Islamic State terrorists executed 21 Egyptian Christians on the shores of Libya, they declared war on Christianity and set their sights on Rome. Now, according to a new e-book released by ISIS, the group is zeroing in on the Vatican, and they are using anti-Israel zealots to help them. The book, entitled Black Flags from Rome, describes the Islamic State's campaign to recruit pro-Palestinian Europeans who share the common goal of the destruction of the Jewish state. ISIS plans to use these activists to provide intel to aid the terrorist group in their eventual conquest of Rome and the establishment of the Islamic Caliphate.
The Palestinian Authority is attempting to enforce a ban on Israeli products. Until now, pro-Palestinian groups throughout Europe and the U.S. have been calling for a boycott on goods manufactured by the Jewish state, although the Palestinians have continued to purchase and sell such merchandise. Statements from Palestinian shop owners that Israeli products are far superior than local goods and that a boycott isn't likely to succeed are having little effect. The Palestinian Authority has decided to remove the rights of the individual Palestinian consumers to now purchase those products, and has even hired a gang of enforcers to remove and destroy any Israeli products found on the shelves of Palestinian stores at a great cost to the local business owner. Shopkeepers say that they've been given an ultimatum by the Fatah government to stop stocking Israeli products or face their confiscation. A senior official from the ruling party of P8 leader Mahmoud Abbas' Fatah party declared that this is just the first step toward a complete ban on all Israeli goods in the Palestinian Authority-controlled territory.
A popular Israeli snack is being credited with drastically reducing peanut allergies in children. Anyone who's ever visited Israel has surely been introduced to bamba. This peanut-based product is the #1 children's snack in Israel, and 90% of Israeli families purchase it on a regular basis. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine states that the exceptionally low rates of peanut allergies in Israeli children is the result of high levels of peanut consumption from infancy. The findings reveal that Israeli children suffer from peanut allergies at 1/10 the rate of their Western counterparts. Researchers at King's College in London discovered that exposing children to peanuts before age 1 will reduce their risk of developing nut allergies by 81%. Israel also exports bamba, and you just might find it in the kosher section of your local grocery store.
And that concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host Josh Reinstein, and we're here in Jerusalem in an uncharacteristically chilly day on our rooftop studio. My guest today is Sharon Sanders, the founder of Christian Friends of Israel. Sharon, thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome, Josh.
Tell our viewers a little bit about what is Christian Friends of Israel.
Christian Friends of Israel is a pioneering and a prophetic ministry. It is a ministry that was started in 1985, and I'm so excited because Bible prophecy is taking place in the land of Israel with the Jewish people being restored, and we're right in the center of it.
Well, what does the Christian Friends of Israel actually do today in Israel?
Christian Friends of Israel is very involved on the ground people. We are helping immigrants who are absorbing into Israel and resettling into the land. We have a unique distribution center which has helped over 250,000 newcomers coming to Israel. We put the clothes on the back. We receive the shipments of clothing. We give the welcome baskets, the appliances. We help them to resettle in the land. Along with that, we have a whole number of other projects that I can tell you about.
One of the things that you're most famous for is the clothing drive. You literally collect clothes from all over the place and help the less fortunate with clothes.
Right. We help put the clothes on the back of the people who can't go to the stores because they're newcomers. They're either young students going to university, they may be elderly, they may be Holocaust survivors, pensioners, whatever. But we're there. We receive 20 and 40-foot containers from all over the world of the finest garments and being sent to Israel to be able to help them in their early days when they settle into Israel.
Now, you've been here almost 30 years. Why is it important to you as a Christian to come here and literally bless the nation of Israel?
Well, when we started in 1985, we were Christian Zionists from the heart. When we arrived, we were formed, and I want to be able to tell our viewers that the initial founders of this ministry were people like Dr. Derek Prince, who was our advisor, and Lance Lambert, who is an advisor, and even the cousin of Ord Wingate, who was the Hayadid, the friend of Israel, was a part of our initial starting of this organization. And plus important people that came on the Mayflower to settle America, and even the President of the United States People-to-People program. What are we all about? We want to help repair the damage that was done for 2,000 years of Christian anti-Semitism and hatred toward the Jewish people. We can only do that by serving and loving according to Genesis 12:3.
Well, what does the future hold for Christian Friends of Israel here in the land?
I'm excited because we're in a transition right now of new leadership, and that leadership, I think, is going to take all of the projects, all of the outreaches, all of the development of technology, media, television, social networking, everything, and expand the whole operation of CFI. I think the future is as bright as the Star of East that was over Bethlehem. I'm so excited. And I see the projects which touch Holocaust survivors, terror victims. They touch the Israeli army, 25 bases we help, and the Ethiopian communities, and many other outreaches as being very bright future. There's always going to be a need for Christian Friends of Israel, who are the hands and the feet of Christians who can't live here.
You know, Christian Zionism is spreading across the world like wildfire. We see it in South America, we see it in Africa, especially in Asia. Yet your organization was one of the founding organizations here in the land when it wasn't such a popular initiative.
Right.
How have you seen Christian Zionism transformed over the last 30 years?
Well, Christian Zionism obviously is made up of people, Christians, who believe that this land of Israel belongs to the Jewish people. They have every right to this land. It's a God-given thing. And we've seen it change because education is coming into the picture. We need to educate, educate, educate. One of my most favorite rabbi friends told me that before he passed away. And I find that the more we educate the church, the more they are enlightened as to their responsibility toward Israel and the Jewish people, and to stand with them during these difficult times when the whole world is against Israel.
At the same time that we see Christian Zionism spreading, we also see the growth of anti-Semitism. Why do you think that on one hand there are people who are standing with Israel in such an immense way, and on the other hand there are more and more people standing against Israel at the same time?
Again, I think it's a lack of education and a false theology that has permeated the church for many centuries, and that is replacement theology. That the church has actually replaced the Jewish people and the nation of Israel. I want to tell Christians, if they're watching today, that if you come and visit the land of Israel, you're going to see a real nation, a real country that has been resurrected, restored, renovated, refreshed in the spirit, as well as bringing the people home. If you follow replacement theology, you need to get some education as to God's plans and purposes for Israel in the future.
Sharon, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
Follow the commands of Genesis 12:3. It's a command by God, not an option. I will bless those who bless my people. You may say, I've heard that a lot of times. It's a godly command, but it's a difficult task. We've got to have a voice. We've got to stand for Israel because God is watching, and He will judge us upon our relationship with Israel and the Jewish people. I believe that if you don't have teaching in your community, touch base with CFI. Our new leadership, Kevin and Stacy Howard, who are going to be the new leaders of this next generation, are going to be doing a tour of the United States. They can bring a taste of Israel to you, teach you, and anywhere in the world you would want. Let us know, and we'll come help educate.
Thank you, Sharon, for being on the show, and thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
Up next, shining light from Israel.
המשמעות של הגודל זה שכאן יושב השכינה.
A place where everyone can come and, unite.
Le symbole en fait du mur, c'est le rassemblement de la foi de tous les gens dans le monde. A focal point.
It encapsulates everything that we stand for as Jews.
L'hôtel est encore là, comme nous, tout ce qui nous est arrivé avec tous les génocides, on est encore là.
If those walls can talk, they talk about shared pain and anguish and successes of 3,500 years. That's the Kotel.
Nearly 3,000 years ago, in the place where Abraham and Isaac walked, where Jacob dreamed of the angels on the ladder, where Judaism says the physical world and spiritual world meet, the people of Israel, under the leadership of King Solomon, built Jerusalem and the Temple. In ancient times, the Temple was considered a rare and outstanding architectural feat. This site attracted people from all over the known world. In the midst of a pagan culture of idol worship and human sacrifice, the Jews in Israel introduced a new spiritual reality. The temple stood for justice, honesty, brotherhood, loving kindness, and forgiveness. Over the centuries, sovereignty over Jerusalem passed from the Jews to Babylonians, Greeks, Romans, Christians, and Muslims. The temple was destroyed twice, leaving only the western wall as a remnant and memorial of its glorious past. Finally, after 2,000 years of exile, years of suffering, hardships, and yearning, Jerusalem returned to Jewish sovereignty.
אני יורד ברגע זה אני יורד במדרגות אל הכותל. אינני אדם דתי, מעולם לא הייתי, אבל זהו הכותל, ואני נוגע באבני הכותל המערבי.
faith and what we believe in.
This land that everyone has been waiting so long for.
Nous formons une chaîne, chaque juif est un maillon, et ensemble on peut faire quelque chose.
יום שישי היינו שבת פה בהר הזיתים עם גדוד של צוערים מבה"ד 1, בית ספר לקצינים של צה"ל, וביום שישי ככה שעות אחר הצהריים מאוחרות ירדנו לקראת שבת לכותל, לקבלת שבת, קצת ריקוד, עשינו מעגל ענק על כל הרחבה, 284 צוערים, מפקצים, מ"פים, כל הגדוד. רוקדים ככה, עם ישראל חי, מעגל ענק ענק. אז מתכווצים פנימה, עוד ככה כמה שירים, שבחי ירושלים, כל העולם כולו, שרים, 20 דקות רוקדים, ואז ככה מי שרצה נשאר לתפילה, מי שרצה הלך לסיור. זה שבת שעשינו סיכום של כל השבת. קמו צוערים, סיכמו כל אחד מהזווית שלו. כמעט אחרון קם צוער, אמר, שבוע טוב, לי קוראים עווד, אני דרוזי מכפר ירכא שבגליל, בגדוד חרב. ואני, שאלו אותי כל הזמן החבר'ה מהצוות, איך אתה מרגיש פה שבת של יהודים, בכל זאת, ירושלים, מה? ולא עניתי לכם. עכשיו אני אענה לכם. פה לפני כולם. זה היה שבת הכי מדהימה בחיים שלי. אבל הרגע הכי מדהים בשבת היה לראות אתכם רוקדים בכותל. עמדתי, הסתכלתי. ראיתי אתכם דתיים, חילונים, ספרדים, אשכנזים, עולים חדשים, ותיקים, ימין, שמאל, חרדים שהצטרפו למעגל ככה מהמתפללים. פתאום הבנתי מה סוד הכוח שלכם. כשאתם ביחד, אף אחד לא יכול להגיד. ואת הכוח הזה אתם מלקים מפה. מירושלים, מהכותל.
Please stay tuned for the ICEJ report from the International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem.
For I will take you from among the nations, gather you out of all countries, and bring you into your own land.
Over the past 35 years, the International Christian Embassy have been actively engaged in the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. More than 120,000 Jews have been helped by the Christian Embassy to come back from the four corners of the world here to the land of Israel. The main focal point was always the former Soviet Union, and the people which came to Israel were Russians or from the Ukraine or from Belarus. Today we see a major shift taking place where for the first time the majority of Jewish people which are coming to Israel do come from first world countries.
The Hebrew word Aliyah refers to the immigration of Jews from the diaspora to the land of Israel. According to recent statistics published by the Jewish Agency for Israel, immigration to Israel continued to increase in 2014 by 32% overall. While Aliyah numbers from Western Europe were up 177% in 2014, France alone saw its Aliyah numbers increase by 289%.
I think that I can clearly tell you that there is a greater interest among French Jews to move to Israel, to make Aliyah, or to consider Aliyah. It is not an operation like Aliyah operation like we saw from countries like Ethiopia or Russia after the Iron Curtain was lifted, but we see here a great interest, and I believe this is something that is going to grow in this coming year.
Ukraine is another European country that has seen a significant increase in Aliyah in 2014. A struggling economy and continued tensions with Russia have contributed to many Ukrainian Jews considering the idea of moving to Israel. Penina Zubarev and her family made Aliyah from Ukraine in 2009. For the Zubarev family, starting a new life in Israel was a challenge.
Now it's a lot of Ukrainian Jews think about to leave Ukraine because it's so difficult time now to make money, to care about family. If you decide to leave Ukraine, you lose your Ukrainian citizenship and all benefits.
There is something in the atmosphere that is uncomfortable in some places, and people think, what do I do next? And I'm happy that the Jewish people consider Israel, their homeland, as the best alternative. If I can send a message to the Christian friends of Israel around the world, is please do two things. One thing is donate. Give the money that is necessary for the Israeli institutions to make the best way of Aliyah. And the second thing is to pray, because we need the prayers. We need to be in your hearts like we know we are already in, and we need to build this bridge of solidarity, working together for the fulfillment of the biblical prophecy.
As you have seen, we are living in a very special time of human history. God is opening a unique window of opportunity for the global body of Christ to actively be involved with the return of the Jewish people back to the land of Israel. Today, you personally can be involved with the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. You can help the Jewish people to return back to the land of their fathers, like the prophets of old foretold. Your donation and your prayer can make sure that the prophetic destiny of the Jewish people will become a reality today. So I want to invite you today to pray for the Aliyah of the Jewish people. Pray for the work of the Christian Embassy as we help the Jewish people to return back, but also consider making a generous gift in order to help us to return Jewish people from France, from the Ukraine, back to the land of Israel. We need your support, we need your prayers. May the Lord bless you richly out of Jerusalem.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El Rome.
And I'm Erin Viner, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us again next week for all of your Israel updates.